All right, welcome back, everybody. This is your second portion of the self-paced module on erosion and deposition. Hopefully you spent some time and you watched the quick news story about the beaches in North Carolina. The goal of these guided notes here is to help you kind of further understand the processes at play, both from that video and just on Earth's surface in general. We won't be diving into the subsurface ocean, like underwater erosion and deposition during these guided notes, but my goal is to introduce as many different processes as possible to you during these guided notes. So what's the difference? Erosion, that's your transport of the weathered rocks as sediments. Deposition is the settling of those sediments onto some surface in a different location. Now remember, weathering is our breakdown of rocks as they're exposed to the atmosphere or the hydrosphere. What causes erosion and deposition? There are 6 main processes at play with gravity, streams and rivers, glaciers, waves, wind, and human activity. Now these all look different. They all have some differences. They all have a few similarities as well. Our goal here is to help you understand what each one of these agents, if we'll call them that, agents does to sediment regularly over short-term and long-term timescales. Let's start with wind. All right, so wind erosion is both destructive and constructive. Right now, let's talk about destructive. So overall, wind can only lift sand grains about 1 meter into the air, so only the bottoms of these rocks can become eroded. Wind will erode the surface that is facing the wind, and the other side will not experience as much erosion. We'll dive more into this on our module next, or in our next assignment in this unit module. But for now, I kind of want to give an overview of what we've got here for destructive. Ultimately, we can create things such as this mushroom rock through wind destructive processes. On a constructive process, we get these things called loess. It's a wind-blown deposit of sorted sand or silt particles. Along with loess, we see sand dunes, which we're going to learn about coming up on your next assignment. Wind will displace sand or silt or other particles based on the velocity of the wind and the size of the particle. So we see different types of constructed processes when it comes to sand, or when it comes to wind. Waves. Now let's talk destructive wave processes. We can see things like coastal erosion. We see changing landscapes due to waves. Waves can be very destructive very quickly, but they're pretty much a persistent change to most coastal communities. Currently, factors that affect coastal erosion, we see some new challenges with rising sea levels, larger storms, and human activity changing current weather patterns. Now, the pictures here on the screen, we have this town called Happisburg. In 2001, you can see there were some erosion control measures in place in the form of that like wooden fence. And then in 2014, they had swapped to a stone barrier, but not until after a substantial amount of coastline was eroded. We have some landmarks in the yellow. There's the same house there. But probably I'd say about 8 to 12 homes were had to be removed or were swept away into the ocean just due to a destructive wave process. On the other side of things, we have these constructive wave processes, such as a barrier island. I wanted to show you this time lapse from, I believe it's 1989-ish to 2017. In Chatham, Massachusetts. Now this is on Cape Cod, which we're going to actually be diving into in a little bit. This is a time lapse showing how much a beach can change in just 30 years. This is a continual change, changing access and accessibility of both humans and our natural wildlife. waves can have an immense impact on coastal communities and their surrounding environments. Long Island is also a barrier island, or has a barrier island attached to the south end of it, which is constantly moving and changing as well. Now let's talk about running water. So running water, such as streams and river, it's the most common agent of erosion. It's something that you've probably seen day to day during a rainstorm, or just walking over a bridge or driving over a bridge. You see water doing things to the landscapes around it. On the left, we have just your classic waterfall, right? That's constantly changing. We're eroding the top surface of that waterfall as well as the basin that the water lands in. On the right side, we have a glacial runoff field where we see water meandering its way through a U-shaped valley that the glacier formed. So some factors that may affect stream erosion. Now we're talking what can change the impact that streams and rivers have on the surroundings. If we increase that discharge or the volume or the slope, it will increase the velocity. The greater the velocity of a stream, the larger amount of sediment can carry. A slow-moving creek, like the one in the bottom right picture here, under my face, unfortunately. We see that it might transport things as small as a grain of sand, maybe up to like a pebble, like golf ball sized on rough days, but no more than that. Something as large as this river with bridges over it, on the other hand, might have huge sediments being transported daily, long distances. Now on the left two pictures, we have high discharge and low discharge, trying to simulate that. High discharge at a similar slope can also speed up erosion and deposition processes. So overall, we did not touch in this slideshow, I didn't touch on glaciers because I have some good videos and readings for you in the next activity in this module. But overall, our water and wind, we sort by size, right? Now, water, if you increase the discharge or lower the discharge, that changes the size of the sediment it can carry. Same with wind. If you increase the speed of the wind or decrease the speed of the wind, you can change the size of the sediment that's carried. Unsorted sediments, on the other hand, we've got glaciers and gravity. Gravity events we'll also talk about in the next activity. They don't care what size sediment it is. They're always transporting every type of sediment in an unsorted manner. All right, so next steps. Like I said, this video was really just meant to introduce you to some of the major components of erosion and deposition, like water and wind. The next assignment, complete number 3 on pair assessment, the erosion and deposition lesson. That includes everything from glaciers to water to wind and our gravity events. Or mass movement is another term for gravity events. So during that assignment, you're going to want to read the excerpts, watch the videos, and answer all the questions. From there, you'll continue to follow the unit plan to complete the assignments that are required until you get to the final unit quiz. So yeah, thanks for watching. Hope we were able to conquer something here with your knowledge of erosion and deposition, and good luck on the rest of the module.